Welcome back to the Locks DFS MLB breakdown. My name is Narang. I'm from locksdfs.com, and I'll be breaking down this 6-game main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel for Saturday, April 8th. A few things before I get into that, though. If you guys do want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so right here at ReallyAddy. If you want to get yourself a pass, you can do so at our on our site, locksdfs.com/shop. And then lastly, make sure you guys leave a like and comment on this video to be entered into our weekly giveaway. You guys know we run that giveaway every single week where we announce the winner on Monday for a free season pass of your choice, and we just like to give back to those that are leaving likes, leaving comments, and making sure they're subscribed to the channel. So if you guys do those three things and do them consistently, you just increase your chance of winning that pass. So just go ahead and do that if you are interested in that. And yeah, we'll get right into it. So one thing I wanted to bring up, though, yesterday went really well. I had a nice little not a takedown, but took sixth in this, made a couple thousand, 3,000. Shout out Mike Chow, shout out Mookie Betts, all those guys. But if you guys are interested in me doing like a sort of like a lineup review, like a self lineup review, obviously on my own team, let me know about that. I don't know if I'll incorporate it into these videos or sort of make it a separate segment, maybe add it to a podcast that we might have coming in the future. But if that is something you'd be interested in, breaking down the team itself, I feel like it's fairly straightforward. Once you look at it, you can realize like none of these plays are too off the wall. But again, if it's something that would be beneficial to y'all, please do let me know. It's definitely something I'd be interested in incorporating. Maybe not on a daily basis, but definitely on occasion. So let me know about that. And with that being said, let's get into this slate. So as usual, we're going to start at pitching. One guy I'm pretty excited to talk about is Corbin Burnes. He's going to be my favorite point per dollar pitcher on this slate. Just love him. Love his talent for this entire year. But this is a decent matchup for him. I mean, Chicago's got a 22% strikeout rate on the year, which is in the bottom half. But it doesn't really matter with a guy like this. This guy had 12 strikeouts over 5 innings. In his first matchup, and the most important note on this guy is that his spin rate clocked in at, I believe it was like almost 100 RPM faster than the next fastest fastball, or the next. Let me get this right. His spin rate on his fastball was almost 100 RPM faster than the next highest spin rate in the majors on a fastball, which is insanely impressive. And it coincides with what he was about last year coming out of the bullpen. Just totally obsessed with his spot, and I just think the fact that you can even get a guy that has 12K and 5-inning potential at sub 9K is just in your team regardless. In addition to that, there's negative line movement on the Cubs. They opened at 4-2. They're since at 4. 80% of bets on the over. The total hasn't jumped at all. That's another good sign. And it's a good sign that Milwaukee's growing as a favorite, growing from -115 to -130. All things shaping up for a really good spot here for Corbin Burnes to rack up a bunch of strikeouts. On FanDuel, he's priced at 7.3K. You probably just lock him in on FanDuel. Getting that kind of strikeout upside at that kind of price, especially on a Coors Field slate where you kind of want to get in a lot of those bats, I think it makes a ton of sense. It's definitely something I'll be doing. And coming down a little bit farther, the next guy I'd like to talk about is Kyle Wright. Not too much to say about Kyle Wright, more about his matchup. Just an awesome matchup versus a horrible Marlins team. Middling strikeout rate, 23.4%, but a way below average walk rate at sub 6%. Kyle Wright, he's a prospect. He was I believe he was Atlanta's 5th best prospect coming into this season. Decent pitcher. He has a good fastball. He has a really good slider. So some of his like comparables could be someone like a Patrick Corbin or Chris Archer, guys that have decent fastballs but can really throw that slider for a strike, can spin it outside of the zone as well and get hitters to swing and miss at it. And he's got an awesome matchup versus just a bad Marlins team. I mean, their team total tip is going to be where it's usually going to be, one of the lowest on the slates. Opened at 3.8, has since dropped to 3.7. Some decent line movement on Atlanta. So look to those two guys for your pitching options. I tried to keep them fairly low priced, just because you are going to want to pay up for quite a few bats on a slate like this with Coors on it, with Houston on it. And that's something we'll be looking into doing. So Kyle Wright, Corbin Burnes, like them a lot at starting pitching. But let's talk about some of these bats. So just scrolling through the team totals, for those of you who are new here, maybe your first season playing MLB DFS, you haven't maybe learned this yet, but Coors Field is the absolute mecca for hitting. I try to find a balance in these videos between being like very, very simple and a little bit more in depth, a little bit more advanced. This is just as simple as it gets. Coors Field, an absolute mecca for hitting. Reason why, I mean, they play at altitude, so the ball naturally travels farther. When they were building the stadium, they took that into account, so they made the outfield really, really deep. They pushed their fences way back. And it didn't really do too much as far as holding the ball in the park. The ball still just flies out of the park, but what it did do is it created a massive outfield where a lot of singles, a lot of doubles just fall in because outfielders have to play so deep and cover so much ground. So that's really the real reason why it's such a hitter's ballpark. They've tried to do things to make it less so. They've raised a couple fences in right center. I believe in left field too. I'm not entirely sure. But it hasn't really done too much to deter this place from being just a hitter's paradise. So we're going to go to a lot of bats in this game, even though there's two really good pitchers pitching, John Gray on one side and Walker Buehler on the other side. Not going to talk too much about matchups in specific. Prefer the lefties on both of those sides. But I just think that this is a spot that, despite seeing those talented names, Walker Buehler, one of the best pitchers in the league last year, John Gray dominant at home in a big sample size, 2-3 year sample size. He's been really good at home. It doesn't really matter for me. I mean, this Dodgers offense has been hitting home runs like crazy, and now they're going into the best hitters park ever. And the Rockies, I mean, they match up really well versus Walker Buehler as well. Guy depends on his fastball. Rockies have a bunch of really good fastball hitters in Story, Arenado, Dahl, and Blackman. I think you can look to the lefties, or you could really just look to anyone in this lineup. Up and down, everyone is in play. And then another spot I think you can look to bats is this Oakland-Houston game. We have Aaron Brooks pitching up against Wade Miley for Houston. The total in this game is jumping, and I think rightfully so. We've seen it jump a whole run despite only getting 54% of bets on the over. It means this 54% of bets includes quite a bit of money to move this by an entire run. But I tend to agree. Wade Miley is a guy that could benefit from the Astros pitching system, switching up his pitch mix, making him a sort of different pitcher, which they kind of have done already. I believe they upped his cutter usage, changed a bunch of pitches around for him. It could work, but not in this matchup versus Oakland, a team that hits lefties really, really well. As we know, they have a big platoon advantage with all their right-handed bats like Chapman, Davis, Piscotty, Laureano, Pinder. All these guys slug lefties, so not a spot where we're going to look to Miley, obviously, but a spot that you can look to some low-price, low-owned A's in this spot. And then Aaron Brooks, just by all accounts, a middling pitcher. He had a great start versus Boston to start the season, but I mean, he had an ERA of 6 in spring. He has a lifetime ERA of like 8 in the majors, so not a good pitcher. Don't buy into just one good start versus a Red Sox team that was kind of reeling when they faced him. So look to some of these Astros. They are fairly underpriced. I mean, George Springer's sitting on DraftKings at 4.3K. That's just way too cheap for their leadoff guy on a 5.2 team total, which is the second highest on the slate. Definitely going to have a lot of exposure to him. So I love these spots for both these bats, or both these games. Oakland, Houston, LA, Colorado, all these guys are in play. So look to them. So with that all being said, home run calls. Almost always forget. So for home run calls, as you guys know, we keep one guy above 4K, one guy below 4K. I have them both already thought of. Sometimes I think of them on the spot. My above 4K guy is going to be David Dahl. Like I said, he slugs righties. He slugs fastballs, and that's kind of exactly what you're looking for versus a guy like Walker Buehler, who is fairly dependent on his fastball. Just has a great chance of knocking one out of the park. And then in the low price range, who was it? I do remember pinpointing someone. Oh, right. It was Chad Pinder. So I have it pulled up right here. These are his numbers versus lefties last year. 289 average with 6 home runs and a few less at-bats. It comes along with a massive hard hit rate and a massive fly ball rate. 56% hard hit rate versus lefties. 39% hard hit rate versus the same hand lefties. And then if you come to 2019, where he's only got a 13 at-bat sample size, you can see that only 5 hits, but 1 home run, 385 average, and he's consistently hitting the ball hard, 45% hard hit rate, and a 46% line drive rate, which is really, really impressive because line drives equal hits in baseball. So Chad Pinder for the low price guy, David Dahl for the high price guy, and that'll do it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do enjoy. And with that all being said, I hope you guys win a ton of money tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.